In the town of Bethlehem, there was a couple called Elimelech and Naomi. They had two sons, Mahlon and Kilion. There was a terrible famine in the land, so they left home to look for food in another place. They moved from Bethlehem to live for a while in the country of Moab. And while they were in Moab, Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her two sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Kilion also died, and Naomi was left without her two sons and her husband. When Naomi heard in Moab that the famine in Bethlehem was over, she packed up and prepared to return home from there. She said to her two daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home." They said to her, "We will go back with you to your people." But Naomi said, "No, you need to get married again." So Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye and went back home. But Ruth clung to Naomi and said, "Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried." So Naomi and Ruth came back from Moab to Bethlehem. When they arrived, the whole town was shocked because Naomi had aged so much. Don't call me Naomi," she told them. "Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter." Ruth went to the fields to pick up leftover grain. That was the only way she could get food. And as it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. Boaz asked the overseer of his harvesters, "Who does that young woman belong to?" The overseer replied, "She is the Moabite who came back from Moab with Naomi. She asked if she could pick up the leftover grain." So Boaz said to Ruth, "Don't go and glean in another field, and don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. I've told the men not to lay a hand on you." At this, Ruth bowed down and asked, "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you noticed me, a foreigner?" Boaz said that he had heard about all that she had done to care for her mother-in-law Naomi. So Boaz invited Ruth to eat with his workers, and he made sure she was able to take plenty of grain home. When she got home, Ruth told Naomi that she had picked up grain from the field of a man called Boaz. Naomi was very pleased to hear this, and she said, "That man is our close relative. He's one of our guardian redeemers. It will be good for you, my daughter, to go with the women who work for him, because in someone else's field you might be harmed." So Ruth stayed close to the women of Boaz to glean until the barley and wheat harvests were finished. One day, Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi said to her, "My daughter, I must find a home for you where you'll be well provided for." She gave Ruth detailed instructions. So this is what Ruth did. Ruth washed, she put on perfume and her best clothes, and she followed Boaz at a distance and saw where he lay down at the end of a day's work. Quietly, she uncovered his feet and lay down. When Boaz woke up, he was startled, but Ruth said to him, "Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family." Boaz understood that guardian redeemer, or kinsman redeemer, referred to part of the law of Moses, which said that the nearest relative should marry a widow so that she would have someone to provide for her. Boaz said that there was another man who was more closely related to Elimelech, than he was. So Boaz went to find the relative he had mentioned, and he sat down with him together with 10 of the elders of the town. Boaz explained, Naomi, who has come back from Moab, is selling the piece of land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. You have the right to buy this land, and I'm next in line. At first, the man said yes, but when Boaz explained that part of the deal was that he also had to marry Ruth, the Moabite, he said that he did not want to endanger his estate. He didn't want to endanger his own land, so he said no. Now, in those days, for the transfer of property to become final, one party took off his sandal and gave it to the other. So the guardian redeemer said to Boaz, buy it yourself. And he removed his sandal. Then Boaz announced to the elders and all the people, today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon. And I will also marry Ruth, the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property. So Boaz married Ruth. Their son, Obed, ended up being the grandfather of King David of Israel.